of his stuff looked good, so probably too good because it was probably snug, but he was different in everything that he did. He locked up different. He locked up snug.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Snug Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
What's up, everyone? We're back. Back again.
Back again, yeah.
Yes, dude, we had to. This is a must, man. We just got done watching Money in the Bank. So, Matt, thank you so much for agreeing to coming back on after Money in the Bank, after all the shit that we saw go down in this PLE. We were kind of talking during the show, and we were just like, man, we have to talk about this like tonight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a stellar show.
Dude, yes, and we called it, man. We were like, this show's gonna be crazy, and it was. And I'm excited about what we're gonna talk about. So let's jump straight to it. This is the post show for Money in the Bank. They started off with the men's ladder match, was really surprising to me. How did you feel about that match being the first match of the show?
I kind of expected it halfway just because you had like the bloodline stuff that was so big. But it kind of goes to show, how much people were actually anticipating that match, because everyone really had their eyes on the women's Money in the Bank match. And the bloodline match, and those were the highlights of the show to me. So just given kind of what I was looking at, I kind of expected either men's Money in the Bank match or the IC title match to open the show. So it made sense.
I would have gone with that match to start off the show, the IC title match, because that was an actual wrestling match. There was no special stipulations. There was no ladders. There was no tables. This was a straight wrestling match. But Triple H, good old Papa H, decided we're going to start off with the men's ladder match, and we're going to start off with the bang. And it was just madness and chaos, which kind of ruined the Intercontinental match for me, because I think that was the match that followed the Money in the Bank, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with you. Well, it wasn't really. I think the progression was weird. I think IC title match then men's Money in the Bank match probably would have been a better idea. But also the IC title match was like, it was so confusing to me because I like Braun and how they've been pushing him, but I'm also a big Sammy fan. I fully expected Braun to win, so when I saw Sammy win, it's kind of like that meme that's been going around where you're like, let's fucking go, let's go.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and I do want to get into that Intercontinental match, but first I want to get into this men's Money in the Bank match, because for the people that were listening to this before, because we did a pre-show, we did a prediction episode, and we were just going crazy with the fantasy booking, right? Yeah. And I mean, this is going to go, it's going to be posted everywhere. So you called this, dude, and I called you crazy for this. I was like, I want to see, like Andrade or Chad Gable or someone unexpected to win. And you were literally like, no, this is what's going to happen. Drew McIntyre is going to win the Money in the Bank. He's going to cash in, and CM Punk is going to come out and he's going to shit on Drew McIntyre's parade once again. And you fucking called it, dude. CM Punk came out from wherever he was recovering in the hospital or at home with AJ Lee and Larry, and he took out CM Punk after the cash in, and Damian Priest retained. And there's so many things that went down in this match besides the cash in, besides the running. And another thing that I have to point out was the botch. There was a big, clearly it was a botch in this match, not by the wrestlers, but by the referee. What the fuck was that all about, dude?
So this is what I'm thinking, right? Because it's the only kind of the logical progression of things. The way things happened was, I actually think the ref did his job, and I think that production missed their cue, because you can clearly see, if you look at it from the wide angle, you can clearly see the ref count the 1, 2, go for the 3, and he looks back because that's when Drew was supposed to come out. And then
oh shit, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I thought that was gonna be on Drew. I mean, not Drew, Damien. I was like, this mother, he didn't kick out. But okay, so they were a little late on that. Okay.
Yeah, I really think that's what happened, because when you look back, you can see the ref like, okay, and then he gets up and he's like, that was 2. It's and you can even, so if you watch the clip back, you can see Damien reach up and squeeze Seth's shoe, and he turns and he says, what happened? He literally squeezes his shoe to get his attention, and he goes, hey, what happened? Like yeah. So
okay,
I definitely think it was a miscue on production's part.
That makes a lot more sense because yeah, Damian Priest, he's usually pretty good about his his in-ring awareness and his timing, and he's usually not the type to other than that big botch that he had at Clash at the was it Clash at the Castle, the last PLE, where he got hung up on the rope. You know, you never see things like that from Damian Priest. So when he did not kick out of that, I was like, wait a minute, that's out of character from Damian Priest. But yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of talk. There's going to be a lot of controversy with that spot with the referee. But after like some point, if you're the referee and you know that was supposed to be like an interruption or a kick out or whatever, shouldn't you just keep counting?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of the ref out of everyone is put in a tough position there, because it's like, so like your option is to keep counting and be like, Seth's the champion.
Yeah, that kind of ruins the whole fucking storyline and everything. The outcome of this.
I think the ref did what he could with what he had. If I was put in that situation on the spot, I don't know. I probably would have done the same shit. Been like, nope, sorry. It's like,
yeah, hindsight being 2020. Now that we know what the outcome was, that CM Punk ran out, and there was like this big, gaga that went down, or the afterbirth, what a lot of people like to call it, after the match. Yeah. If it was just gonna be a regular match, like Damian Priest was gonna retain and that was it, then maybe, or Seth Rollins was gonna win, then maybe you could have kept counting. But knowing the fact that CM Punk was gonna do the run out, Drew McIntyre was gonna cash in, yeah, you have to stop the count at that point, or else, it'll ruin a whole lot of storytelling there.
It was very because of that one thing. It was very, like, it was really clunky. It felt the whole, that from that moment on until CM Punk came out, for me, the whole segment felt weird. The entire match, I was like, yeah, it's kind of. And then once CM Punk came out, then the energy kind of shifted back, and you're, oh, okay, yeah, we get what's going on. And but yeah, definitely, there were a lot of things that happened there, because of that botch, that it kind of, people are going to be talking shit about the match, which was good match, up until that point. And then you have the fact that, Damien really needed to win clean there. And Punk kind of messed that up for him a little bit. So I'm interested to see what happens moving forward with Rollins and Damien and Drew and Punk. I don't know if that those 4 guys are all done with each other or not, just because of the dynamic that was introduced tonight.
Yeah, and we also saw the big stare down between Seth Rollins and CM Punk after that match. Seth Rollins, since day one that CM Punk joined the WWE, he always said, "We don't want him here. We don't need him. Take your toxic energy and go somewhere else with that shit." And it kind of ties back to all of that was happening when CM Punk joined the WWE. CM Punk technically screwed both, not just Drew McIntyre, but Seth Rollins as well. So that little stare down that we saw after the match was like, oh shit. Everything it's like coming full circle with Seth Rollins and CM Punk. So now we have this feud with Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, which is fucking hot. But then you also have something starting with Seth Rollins as well. And I'm all over the place right now, dude. I said we were going to talk about the men's Money in the Bank because that was the first match, but I don't know how we ended up talking about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. But
the money in the bank match kind of led to the Drew cash in. So
yeah. But I do want to talk about the actual match itself as well. But let's put a pin on this match with Damian Priest and Seth Rollins. Overall, what did you think about the match and the outcome?
The match with the Damian Seth match.
Yes.
Well, the outcome was very expected for me.
Well, yes, you did call that.
I fully expected that.
Yeah. Are you are you an intern for the WWE or something? Are you with the feds?
I honestly wish I was. It just comes from, I don't even know what it comes from, man. The people that I talk to on a daily basis and the people that I watch with, being the pillars from APW, we're always analyzing everything from every angle. We're like, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? Oh yeah, but we forgot about this guy. And, so it kind of just ends up coming down the line. And I've noticed that whenever we fall on something that is most definitely going to happen, number one, almost all of us say it at the same time. And number two, you get this feeling where you're like, yeah, that makes way too much sense to not happen.
Yeah. When I heard your prediction, I was like, this guy, Matt, he's out of his fucking mind.
Yeah.
There's no way that Drew McIntyre is that fucking silly or oblivious to let CM Punk screw him over not one time. What was this, like the third time that he gets screwed over by CM Punk?
I think the fourth, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the fourth time in total. Yeah.
Some shit like that. But it did, and it was beautiful, and it was lovely, and I loved it. And it just adds more fuel to the feud,
This feud is going to be, it's had so much build. This feud has got to be like just generational. Whenever they actually follow through with it. And I think it really starts after this.
I like that word.
I think it really starts after this and it goes into SummerSlam. I think it goes past SummerSlam. I think they keep going with it. And I think Seth's going to get involved with it. I think my speculation on it is that it's going to culminate with Punk and Drew and possibly Damian. I don't really, that's a different topic. I don't really know if that's going to happen, but I think Seth gets involved and it's going to be a whole big thing. Once it ends, it's going to end in bloodshed and calamity. That's my only prediction for it so far.
Yeah, for sure. And shout out to everyone that is listening, watching on, and feel free to comment and give us your predictions as well. I'll be happy to shout anyone out that's willing to come on to the comments. So yes, that was the World Championship match. Damian Priest, he is still the champion. He is still in Judgment Day because part of the stipulation was if Damian Priest loses, he's out of the Judgment Day. If Seth Rollins loses, then he's no longer getting a title shot at that World Championship that he held for the very first time in that title's history, and he, in his words, made it relevant. Seth Rollins is out of that title picture, man. We're never going to see Seth Rollins in that scene again.
Can I break your heart real quick?
Please, I love it when that happens.
Seth didn't lose. Drew did.
Oh, that's a swerve. It's a swerve, bro.
Yeah.
It's a swerve, bro. God damn it.
Yeah, man.
It was
Yeah.
it was Drew.
It was Drew.
It was Drew all along, huh?
Yep.
Papa H, man. Papa H in the kitchen, bro.
He's always cooking. He's always cooking, and that's just
God
another thing that he had to throw in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Whew. That's crazy shit. You're right.
Yeah.
You are right. Okay. Well, then that
you're like,
that
makes bitch.
Yeah, dude. That makes it a lot more interesting too, doesn't it?
It does, because that means that we could potentially get, you know, if Damian holds on to the title, we could end up getting Damian versus Seth versus Drew versus Punk for the title. And I think if that were to happen, that's where Drew's eventually going to win.
Oh, shout outs to Dewey. Facts. Yes, that is true, man. Drew McIntyre ate the pin. It wasn't Seth Rollins. I'm curious to see how that's going to go into play, because even though Seth Rollins did not get pinned, he technically did not win the match. He lost the match.
Well, so this is actually
they didn't say if you pin me, then I will never challenge for that title.
So this is a storyline that's actually played out before, and it happened almost the same exact way, where it wasn't a cash in, but it was a 3-way match, you know, and it was, you know, one of the guys was, if you lose, you can't challenge anymore. I can't even remember what the exact storyline was, but that's basically how they got around it. Was like, he said, whoever it was, God, who was it? Batista, maybe? He was like, just because you won doesn't mean I lost. I didn't take the pin, right? So I guarantee that's how they're going to swerve around that. They're going to work around it like that. I'd be willing to bet that's how they're going to do it.
Bet. All right. I'm willing to bet on that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what happens with that. But going back to the opening match, which was a men's ladder match. We didn't get to see the White Six like we thought was going to interfere and take out Chad Gable. But we did see a whole lot of crazy fucking spots. Now, I'm not a big fan of these like crazy ladder matches like that, because I genuinely get like scared for these guys. Like I'm a little girl. I'm a little bitch when it comes to that stuff. And you know, when Carmelo Hayes took that big bump, I was just like, holy fucking shit. And I'm glad, hopefully no one got legitimately hurt, but it was a crazy ass opening match. What were your general thoughts about that opening match?
I thought it was good. I thought it was shorter than it should have been. It seemed like it went by really fast, and it didn't really make the impression on me that I was hoping it would. The only person that I thought, and I still think maybe could be hurt, was LA Knight. And it was because they did a spot where Carmelo Hayes had the ladder and like hit LA Knight with it, and the bottom of the ladder caught LA Knight right here, and it might have been on the elbow. Actually, it was somewhere in this area, and LA Knight dropped and immediately rolled out of the ring and was holding his arm like this and kept like shaking his. It was just one of those things that you look at and you're like, either he's selling extremely well or there's something wrong. I hope he didn't get hurt. I hope everything's okay. If he did get hurt from a move like that, I think that we're, like you said, you know, you always worry about the guys making it to the next show. You always worry about them getting injured on these big spots. And if that's the worst we have to deal with is maybe a slight arm injury to LA Knight, then, you know,
dude, I'm mostly worried about them literally killing each other, dude, because they were doing some crazy ass shit. Even Chad Gable hanging from the briefcase that high. I'm just like, how the hell are you gonna get out of this one, dude? But
yeah, and he just tried to spread his wings. That's all he could do.
yeah, thankfully, dude. Thankfully, yeah, man, they were doing some crazy ass shit during that match. Like we said, like we said before, you kind of predicted the winner. You know, we were right about that. And also, you know, the outcome of the World Championship match, one that we did not get right from our pre-show prediction episode was the Intercontinental Championship, which was Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn. And I had a bad feeling that was going to happen. Sami Zayn just came back from defeating the big badass Gunther, who had this incredible title reign. He was unstoppable. He was unbeatable. So it does make sense on paper that Sami Zayn would go over Braun Breaker. Now, does that make sense to me in like you know, like in wrestling psychology or wrestling you know, just it just doesn't make sense to me visually. But I still really enjoyed this match. Again, this was a wrestling match. Two guys fighting for a purpose. We had a clear baby face, we had a clear heel. And I really, really enjoyed this match, even though the wrong guy won, in my opinion. The wrong guy won. But it was still a good match. What did you think about the match? And I hate to say that I told you so.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I was 100% wrong about this one. And the funny thing is as of yesterday, literally, well, last night on Behind the Pillars, I was talking to Neep and I was like, yeah, but if Braun won, right? If he just came in, smashed Sammy and won, how does that make Gunther look? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it kind of makes Gunther look like a bitch because he did everything in his power to put Sammy down and couldn't keep him down. And then Braun comes in, wipes the floor with him, and just he wins the title.
It wouldn't make sense. Yeah.
How does that make Gunther look? And you know, it's, and then we're talking more, and it made sense based off of what we've seen. I mean, we saw the Braun Breaker murder Ricochet, for God's sakes. It did make sense, like you said, psychologically for Braun to win. Everything pointed towards Braun winning. It was one of those things. If this match had happened in 2008, Braun would have won. But because Papa H is cooking now and they're throwing curveballs and they're doing all, that's why they had Sammy win. And I'm sure that they're going to use this. I don't think Sammy and Braun are done by any means. And I think it's going to end with Braun taking the title. But I was, I was very surprised to see Braun lose that.
Yeah. I was disappointed. I wasn't really like surprised per se, but yeah, definitely it's just not his time. Maybe it's way too soon. He just got called up recently from NXT, you know. But hopefully, man, I mean, Braun Breaker, he's one of those guys, man, that he's the, I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't know how else to describe it. The next big thing, you know.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing that we have to, like, you remember when Brock Lesnar first came out?
Oh,
and
yeah.
like automatically you knew like this guy, he's the guy, he's the next guy. And that's when I see Braun Breaker, that's who I think of, like when, you know, Brock Lesnar first hit the main event scene is you know, Braun Breaker. So Braun Breaker, he's gonna get his his main event, he's gonna get his titles. But oh man, I don't remember Brock Lesnar ever doing a job like that on his way up, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a solid point because that's exactly who I think of. I think of two people. I think of Goldberg and I think of Brock Lesnar. And like I said, if this were 2008, if this were fresh Brock, if this were fresh Bill, Braun would have gone over all day long. And I think this really, what this does is it solidifies that, you know, back in the day, if you're a big dude, you go over every time. That's just what it was. I think this really solidifies that anything can happen, even if you're big. Just because you're big and you got all these muscles doesn't mean you go over, dude. doesn't mean you go over. So
yeah, that's a good point.
I think it was a good step forward in the way of booking, because now it just made things more unpredictable. But it was definitely not expected. And I hope, like I said, I hope Braun gets his titles. I hope Braun gets his good long run. He's going to have an amazing heel run with the title once he gets it. It just not yet.
Probably the closest thing to getting another title reign like Gunther is Braun Breaker, a title reign with Braun Breaker. I don't see anyone taking that thing from him once he gets it, type thing, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to. Who did we have next after that? Which match did we was it the women's Money in the Bank after that?
Well, we had 5 in total, didn't we?
Yes.
So we had men's Money in the Bank, IC title,
the World Championship match.
World Championship match, yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of covered all 3 of those already. So I do want to talk about the women's championship match, because again, I'm gonna go back to what I said when we first started this show. I'm not really big on the ladder matches and the gimmick matches and stuff like that, because that shit's fucking scary to me. I get kind of scared when the guys are doing it, and when the girls are doing it, dude, that's even like crazier to me. But I actually found myself liking this match a whole lot more than I expected. Yes, they did a whole bunch of crazy ass shit. A lot of the things in this match was kind of like, okay, whatever. But I can't hate on it, man, because these girls fucking went out and they did their thing. And especially Chelsea Green, man. Chelsea Green and that finish. Man, it's just jumping or like falling from that high onto 2 tables from the ring outside. The way that she did it was just, it's so impressive to me. I was just like, oh my fucking God. Like, but after I saw the replay, she knew what she was doing. And I was really impressed by that.
Well, if you've ever watched Chelsea Green in the past, you know that she does not shy away from
taking big bumps.
She doesn't shy away from the hardcore stuff. That's where she lives. And she does it so much better than almost any woman I've ever seen. The one I would compare her to, but I think she's even better than her, is Lita, right? Lita did amazing hardcore
she did a bunch
stuff.
Of crazy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I never knew that about Chelsea Green. I'm a big WWE guy. Like I don't really watch anything much else besides AEW. Is a WWE, so I know the Chelsea Green that we see today. You know, the typical Karen. So that was a first for me.
Right.
And I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, Chelsea Green held she was like a hardcore idol on the indies and even in I think she was in AEW for a bit. She was like a hardcore idol there. Dude, she like straight up a wrestling match with Penta Jr.
Okay.
She's like one of 2 females to ever be in a wrestling match with Penta Jr. And I mean, dude, she went through tables. She took barbed wire bats. If you haven't watched those matches, go watch them. They're phenomenal.
So I'm not gonna watch that because I'm not a fan of that. But that makes a whole lot of sense now. The fact that it was Chelsea Green, the one that took that big bump, because it looked fucking amazing, and she made it look so fucking good.
She did.
So fucking crazy. We also saw big fucking bumps from Zoe Starks. Io Sky did a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
I went into this match like, okay, this is my piss break match. Okay, I'm gonna go do my thing or whatever. But I ended up actually paying attention to this match. And the other reason why I really enjoyed this is because we didn't talk about this during our prediction episode before Money in the Bank, but me and you, we were going back and forth messaging during the show. And like before this match started, you were like, dude, if they don't if Tiffany Stratton doesn't win, this is just total bullshit. And I was like, dope. Actually, that's who I want to see win the damn thing.
Right.
And what do you know? Fucking Tiffany Stratton won. The right girl won.
Right.
We had a crazy match. We had crazy bumps. And I think maybe because I've never really paid too much attention to like these women's ladder matches in the past, there's probably like the first time that I did. And it was fucking crazy, dude. So crazy.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say I truly believe that this match was sponsored and brought to you by CTE. It was insane. We got to see Zoe Stark cave her own skull in twice, and, and then we got to see her we got to see her take a bump that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And truly, I don't like Zoe Stark, but I hope she's okay, because the bump she took with her and Io off the ladder, it was whoa,
like scary, bro,
crazy. But with the prediction, actually, so Tiffany, we all know now Tiffany won, and so actually she said something very interesting in the in the press conference. And one of the things that she said was her first order of business as Miss Money in the Bank is that the briefcase needs a makeover. And she said it's going to be.
I think we have a clip of that, right?
Yeah. So she said that it's going to be pink with rhinestones.
Okay.
And then so that plays into the clip that I sent you.
All right, we got a clip of this here. Let's check this out. This was a clip where they're gonna be talking about Tiffany Stratton, right?
Yeah, so it's actually from the Behind the Pillars podcast last night. This is what we said about it.
One after.
We need to see, like, January of next year, Tiffany Stratton carrying around
all pinked out,
fucking pink briefcase that has like rhinestones missing off of it from her beating the shit out of people with it. And we so
oh my god, you guys fucking serious? It's happening, dude. It's happening.
So not only did we correctly predict the Money in the Bank winner, but we actually predicted what the briefcase would look like.
Hell yeah, I love it. And that wasn't and that wasn't the only thing too, man. But we'll touch on it here in a little bit.
Yeah. No, the match I thought was stellar. There was Chelsea Green and Naomi had this weird. It looked really bad. It was Chelsea putting Naomi through a ladder. It was rough. I try to not discredit people when things like this happen, because they're on a ladder, it's shaky, they're in front of tens of thousands of people. It's nerve-wracking. But it looked rough. The bump that Naomi took looked rough. I can't say this enough. I hope everyone involved in that match is okay, because there were a lot of spots that were very good that were made to look rough, and they looked amazing. There were a lot of spots that looked really rough and they weren't supposed to be rough. So it was an like easily 8 out of 10 match for me. I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
No, you can't discredit them, man, because it's funny. I like watching wrestling with my daughter sometimes, because she's 9 and she has a lot of good questions, because kids don't lie. And she's like, "Oh, is it hard to climb up the ladder and reach that briefcase?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's hard. I mean, think about it. They're on the ring, which is already like a few feet from the ground. But then on top of that, they're on top of a ladder, which is even higher. So they're literally like 20, 25 feet up in the air, looking, with their no hands reaching for the thing. And it's crazy. It's amazing. But yes, it was a crazy match. The right girl won, like we said.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing too, that we kind of talked about this before again, because this is another thing we got right. we kind of touched a little bit. Somehow we started talking about John Cena, because I think it had to do with the bloodline match that we said, oh, well, Randy Orton, he's been kind of eyeballing Cody's championship. What if we get a big heel turn tonight? We didn't get the big heel turn, but if that were to happen, that would mean Cody Rhodes gets a shot at Cody Rhodes. Randy Orton could get a shot at Cody, win the title. Right. And, that'll mean that Randy is a 15-time champion, which John Cena is a 15-time champion. So what if we get John Cena versus Randy Orton for the tiebreaker? Little did we know that John Cena was going to fucking show up on Money in the Bank and announce his retirement.
Right. Yep. So after he said that his basically he has 30 to 40 dates lined out between January of 2025 and December of 2025, and after that he's going to be done. I just want to touch on something real quick because a lot of people were asking me about it. He said that his in-ring competition will be done. And I think something important that he said, I don't know if he was trying to like give us a nod to something or whether it was just kind of came out, but he said that he will always be, even afterwards, he will always be a spokesperson and an advocate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
We know the biggest advocate in WWE. He said it a million times, Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. I'm the advocate for the, reigning undisputed WWE champion, whatever. Right. Mm. So my question about, is that like a nod? Is that saying that afterwards he's going to be a Paul Heyman for somebody?
I can definitely see him be like involved in some type of role. It doesn't have to be like an in-ring role. It could be as a manager. It could be as like we've seen other wrestlers be in that general manager role, or like being a host, like we saw Trish Stratus be the host of Money in the Bank tonight. Something along those lines, but also how many times did Ric Flair retire? How many times did Undertaker say, I'm going to have my last final match? And there's HBK, same thing. People say that they're going to retire multiple times, and it's always like, hey, do you have one more in you? Just one more. So I can definitely see John Cena still coming back every now and then, maybe like on WrestleManias, kind of like a Steve Austin does, like an Undertaker, so on and so forth. But it was still heartbreaking. Shout out to Just in Time 211. He said, cue that Money in the Bank handbag. I don't know what that means.
I think he means he may be talking about Tiffany Stratton. Instead of a briefcase, she's going to have a handbag. Which that would be sick. That would be pretty sick. I'm not going to lie. Like just a I would like to see that.
I would like to see a super pink and pimped out Money in the Bank briefcase. That'd be cool. A Tiffany Stratton edition of it.
Yeah, and she said, I mean, straight up, plain as day on the press conference, she said, first order of business is it needs a makeover. It needs to be pink with some rhinestones. And I'm like, holy shit, that's exactly what I said.
I would buy that.
But yeah, no, the John Cena thing, it's hard to watch. It's like every year I watch wrestling, part of my childhood dies. And that John Cena was such a huge part of my childhood. We lost HBK, and then we lost, we lost Ric Flair, and then HBK, and then, we just recently lost Sting and Undertaker, and you never think your heroes are going to be gone, and then one day they are. So it's definitely sad to see, but I'm glad that he's having one last run and he's doing things. I'm glad that he's going to be coming back for a year, even though it is 30 to 40 dates, which means that he's going to be on one of the shows about 3/4 of the time. So I'm excited to see what that leads to. I think they do need to rehash the John Cena Randy Orton thing and maybe do a tiebreaker. That's a fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the end, what needs to happen is I think they should actually have John Cena go out holding the title.
Mm-hmm.
And on his last match of 2025, maybe he goes up against someone that he wants to pass the reins to and puts
Mm-hmm.
them over. And at the end, you get the picture of him handing the title. Like, here's the business, dude. Handle it. Take care of it. And then he goes, he did say that he was going to still be involved with WWE in some capacity. So I don't know if that means announcer, writer. We don't know what it means.
Right.
But I'm glad he's going to be there. At least for a little bit, we get to see we get a proper farewell. And he talked about how a lot of people have to retire out of emergency, and they're in a situation to where they can retire. He can retire in a manner that allows him to do it the way he wants to do it.
Right.
So I think that's a very positive thing. It's going to be a very emotional year for people who grew up with John Cena.
Fuck, dude. Can you imagine, dude? Jesus Christ. Yeah. I was already getting kind of emo watching this segment on Money in the Bank. But yeah, you mentioned passing the torch. The first name that came to mind when you said that was Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to see that, John Cena putting over Braun Breaker, or maybe even like a Gunther, on his final match like that. Yes, I want to see John Cena go up against Randy Orton, but Randy Orton, he doesn't need the John Cena rub. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's Randy Orton.
I think Randy Orton is maybe a storyline they hit earlier on, and then Cena hold the title for a few months and then pass it off in the end. I think is it's what I would do. It's how I would book it. Is that what's going to happen or what's best? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But just booking his exit, I would try to make it the biggest possible, and that's how I would do it.
Well, speaking of storylines, the biggest storyline, some would say, is the bloodline. And we saw them in the main event in the 6-man tag match with Randy, with Kevin Owens, and Cody Rhodes. I'll be sure not to forget that name. And it was a good match. Okay, we got to see the debut of Jacob Fatu. He killed it. I was,
Dude,
that
I whisper in the wind was just chef's kiss.
Yeah. I was expecting Jacob Fatu to come in guns blazing, and he was going to be impressive, and he was, and he shined, and that's what I was looking forward to. Mm-hmm. This was like, and even Corey Graves said it perfectly. We're seeing Jacob Fatu in a sanctioned match, which is scary because how the fuck did they get Jacob Fatu over into the Canada through the borders? First of all, let's start there.
Evidently, Triple H went to bat for him hard, and it ended up working out.
Okay,
that's all.
So that was.
I really think it was like a last minute thing because Tonga Loa was there, and he was originally supposed to be in the match. In the last minute, they announced that Fatu would be in the match. So I think it was a very last minute thing. And they allowed it, and then they switched it up at the end.
So the match itself, man, I love the match. Even though it was a 6-man tag match, there was a lot of shit going on, but it was still easy for me to follow. It was still easy for me to understand. The heels were being heels. The baby faces were being baby faces. The heels were being dirty. They were being, they were cheating. They were being snug. No pun intended.
Yeah.
And boom, boom. They're beating up on Kevin Owens. All three of them are cornering Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens gives Cody Rhodes the hot tag, which is, they obviously Cody Rhodes gets a huge pop. Cody Rhodes comes in. He takes everyone out. And I'm like, man, this is great. This is amazing. And then we get to the finish. the finish, man. The finish of the fucking match. Dude, Solo Sikoa ate 2 crossroads, not 1, 2 crossroads.
Yep.
And then Jacob Fatu comes in, takes out Cody Rhodes with a fucking amazing fucking whatever the fuck that thing is called, where Jacob
Whisper
Fatu,
in the wind, dude.
well,
Yeah.
okay, awesome, right?
Amazing, beautiful, gorgeous.
But then fucking Solo Sikoa, after taking 2 crossroads, gets back up and he just boom hits Cody with the fucking Samoan spike. 1, 2, 3. One Samoan spike. That's all it took for Cody Rhodes to go out. But Cody Rhodes gave Solo 2 crossroads and he just got right back up. And I was just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really like that. I also don't like the whole thing that they do where, like, you know, the face pins somebody and the ref's still dead for some reason, but as soon as the heel pins somebody, the ref jumps right in the ring. I didn't like the finish to the match whatsoever. I will give credit where it's due, though. Shout out to Irish Neep, because last night he straight up called exactly what happened. He called it. He said, so Cody's eating a pin from Solo tomorrow. That's what's happening. And I was like, if that's what you say, man, he was absolutely correct about that. But I didn't like I knew there was going to be some fuckery because it's the bloodline. But it, to be honest, to be 100% honest. And like I said in the show before Money in the Bank, I said, if Jimmy returns, the bloodline's going to lose. If he doesn't return, the bloodline's going to win. That was all I cared about. That I didn't care who won. I didn't care who lost. I didn't care what happened. I wanted to see Jimmy return. And it was one of those things that, like, the match was fantastic and I shouldn't have any complaints. But because I didn't get to see Jimmy return, I was like, I don't even give a fuck. I don't care.
Yeah, so I'm not just going to put ourselves over this whole entire show, because we did predict a lot of the things that went down on the show. But we did predict Jimmy, or hell, I even, went crazy with the fantasy booking and said, what if Roman Reigns shows up? That didn't happen. It was just a clean fucking finish. Well, not really clean, because, the referee got taken out, and
it was a finish without any, like, unexpected interference, I'll say.
Yes.
Yeah.
The heels won. Solo Sikoa, the bloodline, they won. Cody ate the pin, which was, that says a lot, man. That says a lot, because that kind of leads to this potential match that we're going to be getting at SummerSlam between Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes, right?
It perfectly leads up to it. It was booked properly. I'm not going to say that Cody should have pinned Solo or anybody. I'm not going to say it. I think it was booked perfectly. Couldn't have been a more on par match for what should have happened. It was just, man. I didn't even think about Sika's funeral was today. Jay missed it so that he could be at Money in the Bank. I didn't even think about that. Jimmy was probably at Uncle Sika's funeral, man. That's honestly probably what it was. There were a few spots in there where it was prime for him to return and come in. He didn't, but I think it was booked perfectly to lead into that match at SummerSlam with Cody and Solo.
Yeah. And after the show, I didn't watch the press conference, but I saw that Drew McIntyre ran up on the press conference, and he just went batshit crazy and even hit Adam Pearce with an elbow to the face, and all hell broke loose. And man, after the show, man, I can't wait to watch Monday Night Raw. What do you think?
No, Raw's going to be crazy. The aftermath is going to be insane. It got so bad to, like, Wade Barrett literally got in the middle of Pearce and McIntyre. And Wade Barrett literally said to McIntyre, "You need to leave before you lose your job. You're going to get fired. Go." And had to, like, push him out. And I think that, Adam Pearce, if you have him on Twitter, he's always kind of like, he's always talking about his in-ring days. And I think this could possibly lead to some kind of action from Adam Pearce, because
Hell
Nick
yeah.
Aldis is a wrestler as well. I would love to see some type of like Survivor Series match where Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce are both leading a team. I think that'd be dope as fuck.
No, nice. Right on. Yeah. Yeah, that could be for sure. I can see that. I'd be down to see that too. Whew. Oh man. That shit was crazy, man. What a crazy PLE. I really enjoyed it, man. Any final predictions, final thoughts, or like, what's next after all this shit that we saw today at Money in the Bank?
Well, expect McIntyre to come out hot next Friday. He's gonna he's gonna absolutely he's blowing his top. So expect some crazy stuff out of that. Fully expect this Chad Gable Wyatt 6 storyline to move forward. I don't know what they're doing with that. I'm probably one of the biggest Bray Wyatt fans ever, but I really need some progression here. And I love the vignettes, I love the promos, but I need some progression here. And I was hoping to get some of it tonight, and it didn't happen, sadly. But I think the biggest thing to take from this is the biggest thing to look forward to and think about is, what is Tiffany going to do with that briefcase?
Well, you said earlier on the pre-show that we did that usually the women's Money in the Bank gets cashed in pretty soon, like sooner than later normally, doesn't it?
Well, so almost all of the women's briefcases have been cashed in within the first 24 hours. The only exception has been Carmella, who held it for 40 days. I think they really need to do a better job at elevating the women's titles because they're boring. There's almost no storyline on the women's side, and I hate it. And I think the way to elevate this is you have Tiffany hold on to this briefcase for months and months, and like the longest that she can possibly do it before people get sick of it. Because adding that what if factor in every PLE from now until she cashes it in it's gonna just heighten it more and more and more every single time. And I'm excited to see what she does with it. I'm excited to see what it looks like, man. You know, if you took nothing else from this PLE, guys, take this. It's Tiffy time.
Yeah, it's gonna be the prettiest briefcase ever. Or what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah,
well, cool, man. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, yeah. That's it. It's gonna pair perfectly with her prettiest moonsault ever.
Right on, man. Matt, thank you once again for coming back and deciding to join me on this post Money in the Bank show. If you're listening to this, we did a pre-show, and I'm actually going to put this out together on Apple Podcasts so all the listeners can hear our predictions before the show, and then they can hear the the aftermath after the show. Is going to be one big episode that is going to be coming out on Apple Podcasts next week. If you didn't hear the pre-show or if you didn't hear the post-show, I'm going to just throw that bitch all in one together. It was really fun, Matt. Thank you again for coming back. And thank you, everyone, for listening, everyone that's been on the comments and riding with us so far. My name is Edgar. I'm the host of Snug Wrestling. Thanks again to everyone, and we will talk soon.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.